Good evening, dear friends. Today, we will start increasing the lifespan of all subscribers to Anton Alekseev's channel. The thing is, there are already quite a lot of you gathered here, but I see that the number of views doesn't match the number of subscribers. More than 3 million people have subscribed. Not everyone always watches, and maybe some people have already passed away. That's why my goal is to extend your life as much as possible and make sure you all watch every video from start to finish, because maybe someone might pass away in the process. That's why my goal is to make sure you live as long as possible, even longer than me, so you can re-watch all these videos again. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. That you can become that very grandma or grandpa whom the grandchildren hate, because you just won't die and give them the apartment. They keep waiting and waiting. They're about to have grandchildren of their own, and you're still there in your 3-room apartment in the center of Moscow, where you are watching Anton Alekseev's video. Also, don't forget to like the video and leave your comments. So, friends, you all need to say thank you today. Go to the nearest clinic to see the cardiologists and thank them for extending your life. Because what is the main cause of death here? Cardiovascular diseases, heart attacks, strokes, hypertension, atherosclerosis. All of this used to lead to the fact that we didn't even live long enough for our teeth to fall out. We were either eaten by wild animals or died from infections. And secondly, those who saved us from infection. But today we will talk with you. We've already thanked the cardiologist. Today we will talk with you about how you can independently improve the function of your cardiovascular system. Why? By working on your muscles, you can keep your blood vessels and heart in perfect condition. The entire body, actually even the brain, heart, and all organs. What effect does a muscle have on your blood vessels? Here in this photo, there are 2 muscles shown. Look, one is a strong, good muscle, working, trained. Which muscle do you want it to be? Let's say it is the gluteal muscle, for example. And the second one, look, is pathetic, thin. It only causes disgust or pity. If a person is kind enough, look at which vessel goes to the working muscle. This muscle is constantly under load. It contracts, relaxes, and does its job. So, what does the body give it? It gives it nourishment, it gives it blood, and the vessel that goes to it. It is an artery of a certain diameter, but here, if the muscle isn't working, then it doesn't need blood. And who thinks like that? The brain? The body? Who makes the decisions? If you know who that is, leave a comment. Who made the decision to reduce the volume of the artery that goes to the inactive muscle? The muscle isn't working. It uses little blood. The vessels themselves, meaning the artery. What comes next? Arterioles, smaller vessels, then capillaries. They're all inactive. Blood doesn't reach the muscle, and the vessels themselves are also just in a passive state, not filled with blood. Their overall volume is smaller. The structure of the muscle starts to change. Connective tissue and fibrous fibers appear here. Let's mark them. What's your least favorite color? Let's use that one. It will be green this time. Here, connective tissue appears because the muscle is constantly damaged and inflamed. Swelling develops in it. Swelling develops because not only the blood inflow worsens, but also the blood outflow, because the venous vessels here are also all congested. Venous congestion constantly occurs here, because for the venous blood to flow out, the muscle has to contract. The valves here as well, valve insufficiency occurs in larger veins because either the deep or superficial veins become dilated. Because the muscles aren't functioning, lymphatic congestion occurs. What else happens in the muscle? Fat. Right inside the muscle, between the muscle fibers. Here, for some reason, the blue fat appeared. There aren't enough colors. It would be good to mark the fat in yellow, but there's no yellow color. So, the muscle is non-functional, terrible, all fibrotic, all swollen, with lymphatic congestion. The fascia that covers the muscle, and as you know, fascia covers not only the muscle, let's use black for the fascia. Actually, it's transparent. The fascia covers not only the muscle, but also the blood vessels and the nerves. And this membrane as well, it's all fibrotic and tight. Its condition is also getting worse. Between neighboring muscles, too, everything, all the fasciae are stuck together with adhesions. Disgusting. And what do we see here? The blood vessels are working well. There is good inflow and good outflow. What is one of the reasons varicose veins develop? Impaired blood outflow through deep veins, even without clots, still causes disrupted flow. Blood is then redirected into the superficial veins. Why? Because the calf muscle stopped working. The gluteal muscle stopped working. The valves can't hold the blood. Everything flows back. Because the inner deep muscles get overstrained when the large ones don't work. Blood doesn't flow through the deep veins and in the outer veins. It stagnates in the outer ones. So, this is the first reason a muscle that doesn't work and doesn't consume blood. So the vessels that go to it also become non-functional. Anything not used is eliminated by the body. It says, you're not using this, so I'll let it atrophy. If you want to use it again, we'll see. Maybe I'll restore or regenerate it. That's how it thinks. You need to come to an agreement with it about this. The second case is when compression occurs, meaning the blood vessels and nerves get pinched between the muscles. This happens in the so-called tunnels, where the muscles surround us from both sides. For example, muscles surround this neurovascular bundle. Or sometimes a blood vessel passes next to a bone and a muscle. And when the muscle is tense here, now tension plays a role. When the muscle is tense, when the muscle is overloaded, compression occurs. First the vein, then the artery and nerve are compressed, along with the lymphatic vessel, leading to swelling. So, these are the places where our artery and veins can get pinched, and the places where it's important for our muscle to be toned and working. There are certain places where the artery gets compressed inside the fascia. Today, we will work on them together. Judging by your eyes, you don't like physical activity, you like to relax, you like to rest, so today's episode is especially for you. So, today we will be relaxing the muscles, massaging them, and doing something good for your muscles, but not by straining them, rather by relaxing them. We will relax the tense muscle, and we will relax certain points, places that will help improve blood flow to these remnants of your muscles. This is the kit of all the grandpas and grandmas living in 3-room apartments in central Moscow who aren't dying. They always have a massage ball like this and various devices. For example, there's a roller like this for massage, and there's also a bigger roller for massage. They have one like this, for example, and they use them regularly. So, do you want to know what they do? If you're their grandson, for example, you can hide them so that your grandpa doesn't find it and lock him up so he can't buy a new one. But you shouldn't do that. What kind of bad thoughts are you having? Well, friends, let's move up from the bottom. The first thing is, you need to improve the venous outflow from your legs. To do this, you need to relieve the spasm. Where is the spasm? People often think it's the calf muscle, but it's actually the soleus muscle in spasm. This inner muscle, the toe flexors, is affected. Most people have weak calves, but the soleus is overloaded. But we agreed today not to strain ourselves. So, you can even keep enjoying your food. Keep eating. Enjoy your meal to everyone who's eating. Write in the comments what you're eating today. You simply without even taking the spoon out of your mouth. Put your leg on a roller like this, and here are a few options for what you can do. You start just working it out above the heel from the area of the tendon, the Achilles tendon, the calf muscle. Many of you have seen videos where they work it up and down like this. That's good. But at first, you need to work it out in detail across like this, right to left. This is how you work your leg. Divide your shin into 3 parts, the middle part, the outer part, and the inner part. And carefully work through each of them. If you feel that the load is no longer enough, place your other leg on top like this for extra weight. And there you go. You can watch the news or the weather forecast on your television, listen to the radio, for example, and this way you can work through everything. You can even read a newspaper and then lift it a little higher and a bit higher again, working through this area as well. Here you will come across some rather painful spots. Spend a bit more time on them. On such a sensitive and painful area, if you're new to this, start with 1 minute. Later, you can gradually stay on one spot for 2, 3, or even up to 5 minutes. Go even higher. What we're doing here is not just relaxing the calf muscles, the gastrocnemius, and the soleus muscle. We're also simultaneously improving the function of your entire cardiovascular system. Because if you have impaired venous outflow from your legs, what will you have to do? Who here knows anything about plumbing? If you get a clog somewhere, if the water isn't flowing well through the pipes, what will you do? You need to try increasing the pressure, right? Or remove the clog. Those are the 2 options. Probably I don't really know much about plumbing, but I think that's what plumbers would say. But the clog can't be removed. It can't be removed by our heart, our nervous system, the cardiovascular system. What does it do instead? It increases the pressure in the system. Where the blood doesn't flow well, to make it flow there, the pressure increases. That's why you get hypertension. There you go. And to relieve this condition, to make sure your arteries aren't compressed anywhere, what do you need to do? You need to get your muscles into perfect, good condition so that nothing hurts anywhere. You've worked your right leg now. So what is the first thing you need? As a long liver and a subscriber to my channel, you should have all these calf and soleus muscles that are pain-free, but at the same time, they should also have volume. How do you train that? We'll talk about it later. Now, moving on. What should we do next? We also need to breathe. For our breathing to be good and even, it's important that the diaphragm is working. For this, the quadratus lumborum muscle shouldn't be tense either. Why? If this rib doesn't move, the other 2 ribs will move too much when you inhale, preventing the diaphragm from working. That's why it's important for you, as someone who wants to live long, to have strong quadratus muscles that are in good condition. For this, you use a ball like this. You place it here between the iliac bone and the 12th rib, and carefully work on this area. You can do it while lying down, or you can do it standing up. You place it like this, right here. And here, you'll find that the muscle is stiff, kind of painful. You work on these spots right here. See, you place it here, like this, just like that. Here, here, and here. You work everything through while moving like this. First over the iliac bone, then under the rib. Not the rib, but beneath it. So first you work through this part, then this part, and then in the middle between them. And then at the end, you can just apply pressure like this. You press down, transfer your weight right here, like this on the ball. You place it once, or like this, or maybe you can see clearer this way. You place it right here and just hold it here like this. Basically, you should keep this whole area in perfect condition as long as you want to live. If you get tired of it and stop doing it, that's it. You'll go to heaven. Well, everyone will go somewhere. So friends, let's move on. Now, there are places where two muscles pass through and they also compress something. For example, the vertebral artery. That's not good either. You'll live long, but your brain will stop functioning well, and living a long life as an idiot is not a good thing either. That's not much fun. So you need to keep a clear mind as well to be able to teach life lessons to your children and grandchildren. Since they don't understand anything, you have to constantly tell them how to peel potatoes properly, how to cook beets, how to make borscht. They don't know how to do anything in life, so you must keep your mind active. That's why you take the roller, the same one from under your feet, and you work through all the suboccipital muscles. Right here. You'll find two rollers here, one on the right and one on the left. Here they are, right here. And with the roller, this massage roller, you work through the muscles. So you need to relax this part, and you need to relax this part. So what are these two muscle cords for? It's to create good conditions for blood flow to, and from the head, to relieve spasms in the suboccipital muscles and arteries. Let's take another look. Here I am lying down. And it's like you're hiding under the table over there, looking at me through the table like this. The roller is here. And what am I doing with it? I move my head side to side, working through everything. You can also start with the left muscle, then the right, and repeat. If there's any pain, stop right there. Only do this for a while. If it's not too painful, or if you've already done this before, then use the ball. Put the ball on something, for example, because it won't work otherwise. On a blanket, for example. You do have a blanket at home, right? Take one out of your chest, for example. Put it down. Because if you just put it on the floor, it won't be at the right height. And these same spots that you were just working on, here you go. You lie down and relax. Make plans for what you'll plant next year. Which seedlings to get, or which variety of cucumbers, whether they'll sprout or not, all of that. Work on it specifically while reflecting on the ruble exchange rate, what the economy will look like in the future. You can do this while massaging yourself, just like that. And look at the next one. A very important area is right here, the pectoralis minor muscle. Adhesions constantly form between the pectoralis minor and the pectoralis major. How can we tell a young person from an elderly person? By looking at the pectoralis minor muscle in a young person. The pectoralis minor is elastic and healthy. It doesn't compress anything. In an elderly person, it's all fibrotic. You can, regardless of your age, even if you're 90 years old, restore this muscle to the condition of an 18-year-old. But for that, you also need to take a ball in your hands. Stand like this against the wall. So, it is good to stretch the small pectoral muscle, and you also definitely need to massage it regularly. It's located right here. Look. It extends from the coracoid process of the scapula to the third, fourth, and fifth ribs. Here it is. It's located right under the pectoralis major muscle. And you need to work this whole area well with the ball. You can do it against the wall or even lying on it. You place the ball and then you just lie down like this. See, you can see it clearly, of course. So You lie down like this and place it on different spots. Why is this area important? You can also use your hands. You can work on it with your hands at first too. So under the chest muscle, you'll also feel a kind of muscle ridge. Why is this area important? This is exactly where the lymphatic ducts pass, under the right minor pectoral muscle. All the lymphatic ducts from the head and neck gather, and under the left one, the ones from the rest of the body. The condition of this muscle affects the mobility of our chest, breathing, and the circulation of the lymphatic system.